struggling single mom buys formula with quarters. The CEO behind her whispers, "Put it on my card." The line at the corner store moved slowly, every second heavy with the weight of silence. Mary Mitchell stood clutching her 6-month-old daughter Janice against her chest. The baby's forehead burned with fever, her tiny breaths uneven, each cough sharp and painful. On the counter in front of Mary sat a neat pile of coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, even 2 pennies she had found at the bottom of her pocket. She had counted them twice, prayed they would be enough. But when the cashier read the total, £24.16, with tax, Mary felt her throat close. She was $3.18 short, just over $3, and yet it might as well have been a mountain. The formula on the counter wasn't ordinary. It was Gentle Care Premium, the kind Janice's pediatrician insisted on for her sensitive stomach. It cost more, but after 3 nights of endless crying, vomiting, and rashes, Mary had no choice. Her pride whispered to pull the can back, to walk away, but Janice's weak whimper in her arms silenced that thought. Behind her, someone cleared their throat. Another customer shifted impatiently. The warmth of the store pressed down on Mary, suffocating. She wanted to apologize, but no words came. And then, a voice. Calm, steady, unexpected. "Put it on my card." Mary turned slightly. A man had stepped forward, tall, sharply dressed in a charcoal coat and polished shoes that didn't belong on the scuffed linoleum floor. His salt and pepper hair was neat, his movements quiet, but commanding in their stillness. He placed a sleek black credit card on the counter, with such ease it felt rehearsed. The cashier blinked, uncertain. The man didn't explain himself. He simply repeated, "Put it on my card." Mary stiffened. Her pride bristled. "I don't need pity," she whispered, more defensive than she meant. The man met her eyes, steady and kind. "It's not pity," he said softly. "It's kindness, and you look like you could use some today." The words hit harder than she expected. Her shoulders sagged. Janice whimpered again, and Mary finally let the cashier finish the purchase. The man handed her the small bag, then reached once more into his coat. From his pocket, he pulled a tiny, worn teddy bear keychain. Faded, frayed, clearly well-loved. He crouched slightly, holding it out toward Janice. "This helped my niece once," he said gently. "She had nightmares after her mom passed. Maybe it'll help her too." Mary's throat ached. She reached out, hesitating only a moment before taking it. Almost instantly, Janice's small hand clutched the bear, pressing it against her fevered cheek. Mary whispered a quiet, "Thank you." The man simply nodded. "Sometimes the world is too loud," he said. "Quiet kindness can go a long way." Mary turned and left the store, her boots scraping softly against the floor. She didn't look back. The cold air outside hit her face as she held Janice close, clutching both the formula and the tiny bear, wondering why a stranger's kindness felt heavier than the coins she had left behind. The wind outside bit sharply as Mary hurried down the street, clutching Janice close under her thin coat. The baby coughed weakly, her little fists trembling against her mother's chest. Rain began to fall, first as a mist, then quickly building into a steady downpour that soaked through Mary's hood and sleeves. She tightened her hold on Janice, whispering soft reassurances, though her own voice trembled with exhaustion. The sidewalk gleamed under the orange glow of streetlights, slick with puddles. Each step felt heavier than the last, but Mary pressed on. Her daughter needed the formula, needed warmth, needed her. Then headlights appeared beside her. A sleek black sedan slowed, rolling to a stop along the curb. The passenger window slid down, and through the blur of rain, Mary saw him, the man from the store. "You shouldn't be out here with a sick baby," he said, his voice steady but not commanding. "Let me take you to the hospital." Mary froze, water dripping down her lashes. "Why?" she asked, not accusatory, just drained. His hands rested calmly on the steering wheel. "Because she needs help, and because I'd regret it if I didn't offer." Mary hesitated. Every instinct screamed to stay cautious, But Janice's cough broke through her hesitation. With a small nod, she opened the door and slid inside, holding her baby close. The car was warm, the scent of leather mingling with faint cologne. For a few blocks, silence filled the air, broken only by the hum of the engine and the rhythmic sweep of the wipers. Finally, the man spoke. "What's your name?" "Mary Mitchell," she answered quietly, brushing wet strands of hair from her face. He turned slightly, surprise flickering in his expression. "You worked at Westridge once. 2 years ago, you were nominated for the Elevate program. Then you just disappeared." Mary gave a soft, humorless laugh. "Yeah, that sounds like me." He waited, patient, not pressing. "My husband left when I was 6 months pregnant," she continued, her voice low, almost swallowed by the rain tapping against the windows. "Said he wasn't ready for fatherhood. I tried to keep up at work, but everything fell apart. I couldn't manage rent, childcare, boardrooms, any of it. So I left." The car slowed at a red light. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then he nodded, an understanding nod, not one of pity. Mary glanced down at Janice, rocking her gently. The baby's wheezy breaths broke her heart. She whispered a lullaby under her breath, her voice steady even as tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. The man's hands tightened on the wheel. He didn't interrupt. He simply drove until the glowing sign of the hospital came into view. Inside the pediatric wing, the doctor's words both relieved and crushed Mary. Pneumonia, not life-threatening but serious enough to need treatment and rest. Mary sat in the quiet room, Janice wrapped in warm blankets, finally breathing easier. When she looked up, the man was still there, seated across from her, not scrolling his phone, not watching the clock, just watching her daughter. "You didn't have to stay," Mary whispered. "I know," he replied simply. Her exhaustion finally broke through. Still holding Janice, she leaned her head against the wall and drifted into sleep, not realizing a thin blanket had been placed gently over her legs until much later. When Mary awoke, the hospital wing was quieter, the lights dimmed to a soft glow. Janice rested peacefully in her arms, her fever easing at last. A folded paper slipped from Mary's pocket as she shifted. Frowning, she opened it. Her breath caught. It was a receipt, the hospital bill fully paid. Her gaze shot to the doorway. The man was there, sitting just outside with a cup of coffee, his posture calm, patient. "You paid?" she asked softly when he stepped inside. He nodded. "It wasn't much. You have enough to worry about." Mary's mouth opened, ready to argue, but her voice faltered. He continued quietly, "I didn't do it to insult you. I've been here before. My sister was a single mom. I always told myself I'd help her more, call more, visit more. But I let work come first. When she got sick, pneumonia, I was too late. She didn't make it. Her daughter was only 4. Mary's chest tightened. She lowered her eyes to Janice, holding her even closer. "I made excuses back then," he added, his voice rougher now. "But today, I didn't want to make another one." The silence that followed was heavy but gentle. Mary studied him, something shifting inside her. For the first time that day, she let her defenses drop. "I'm sorry about your sister," she whispered. He gave a small nod. "Thank you." Then, after a pause, he placed a hand lightly on her shoulder, hesitant, respectful, like he was asking permission. Mary didn't flinch. The weight of it grounded her in a way she hadn't felt in years. When she finally left the hospital, she carried not just her daughter and the formula, but something harder to name, an echo of hope. Days later, her phone buzzed with a message. It was him. His name, she now knew, was Joseph Westridge, CEO of the very company she had once worked for. He asked to meet. They sat across from each other at a quiet cafe, the air filled with the scent of coffee and cinnamon. Joseph slid a tablet across the table. Mary froze. On the screen was her ex-husband's resume, polished, rehearsed, but built on stolen work. Her work. Projects she had led, campaigns she had built, all under his name. He's close to securing a position at Westridge, Joseph said calmly, engaged to an investor's daughter. If this continues, it's not just your dignity at risk, it's the company's. Mary's chest tightened. Anger and grief warred inside her. He erased me, she whispered, left me when I needed him, and now he's rewriting my life as if I never existed. Joseph didn't press, didn't prod. He just let her sit with the truth until her trembling hands steadied. Then he pushed another folder toward her. Inside was a job offer. Director of Community Engagement, flexible hours, on-site childcare. Her name already typed neatly on the contract. Mary blinked through tears. Why me? Why now? Joseph leaned forward, his voice soft but unshakable. Because you earned this years ago. I'm not giving you charity. I'm giving you back what was always yours. For a long moment she stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. Then, with a steadiness she hadn't felt in years, Mary whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." And for the first time in forever, she believed in new beginnings. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.